So this is a fan-based video and it is regarding the Greyhound versus the Whippet debate. It was a reaction of Rambler 2011 I wanted to say, but it's Rambler 20111. And it's regarding the video Bull Grey versus Bull Whippet, the battle of the Bull Lurchers. And he made some very interesting points. So he says, as first point, that Whippets tend to be better hunters than Greyhounds. And why? Because they are very good at running free and they are better finding their quarry then. I mentioned in other videos that the Whippet has a lot more Terrier temperament, so they are much more busy type of dogs. For example, if you have a Greyhound and you walk it outside, then at home they are completely lazy, while Whippets can still be very fast and temperamental and active. And in the field this would have a benefit. So I'll give you a little bit feedback to the reaction that I got on this video. And that could be very well being put to use if you have a few Whippets running free in the field and then they find their own quarry. For example, rabbits that are playing hide and seek, and then the Whippet sniffs them out or finds them with his eye contact and then runs after them. So the second point, he says Whippets that have hunting as opposed to only racing experience have more stamina than Greyhounds, as they are much quicker at realizing, this is very interesting, that a mad dash after what's in front of them only results in long tongues, heavy sides and the object of their desire disappearing over the horizon. And then he puts another text after it. In other words, they pace themselves and only strike when success is likely. I have never seen a Greyhound do this. So, a long story short, but he already mentioned the essence of this. So if you have, for example, a Greyhound and he sees in the long distance a rabbit, he will chase after it, even if it's 100 meters or further away. This is beneficial if you have only one quarry that you want to get to. But if it's very busy, it would be better that he would conserve his energy only when he can make a quick strike. For example, the rabbit, the Greyhound will gain on the rabbit, of course, but with it longer distance, it will be easier for the rabbit to pop into a hole or into the brush and disappear. Whereas if he waits to go full beam when he's closer, he can conserve energy. And also a Whippet, in this Rambler comment, is far better at discriminating when he has a good chance of getting to the quarry and when he doesn't. Whereas the Greyhound just goes full beam. And if you have much quarry to hunt, it would be better to conserve the energy so that you have in the complete hunting day more effective use of that energy, and it's also more quarry. So a very good point. Then number 3, he says Whippets, mainly due to their smaller size, are much less injury prone than Greyhounds, whether it is feet injuries through running over rough ground or collisions with hidden objects. The average Greyhound is half as tall again as an average Whippet and perhaps 3 times its weight. It is far from being twice the dog. And then he puts another comment, but that's not regarding this third comment. So what he says is, if you have a Greyhound and you have a Whippet, the Greyhound has a much bigger chance of injuring itself than the Whippet. And I will explain why. First of all, the Greyhound will reach higher speeds, and that is coupled with more mass as well. As he mentioned, a Greyhound can weigh 3 times as much as a Whippet. So for example, if you look at impact, then it is the energy that has to be disposed of is the mass times the velocity. So both mass is, for example, 3 times the weight of the Whippet, and for example the speed is 10% higher. Then you can imagine that a Whippet that has 1/3 of the weight and even 90% of the speed will have far less damage, for example, if they bump into a hidden object. For example, a stone that you didn't see into the bushes. That will give very high damage to the Greyhound and a lot less damage to the Whippet. He also mentioned their feet. For example, if the terrain is quite rough, they can stick their feet in something and they can sprain their ankle or something else, also like we humans can do. And therefore it is also very important that there are two facts. One fact is that if you look at the surface of an object and you look at the mass, so the mass could be 3 times as big in this example, but that doesn't mean that the surface, for example, of the footballs is 3 times as big. It is not. So the smaller animal has an easier time of getting more surface for their size. So the relative surface of a smaller animal is bigger. So they have more surface to let the forces that are applied when the mass is shifting to go one way or the other way, and therefore less damage to the footballs. One example. Another thing is, if you look at, for example, a pry bar. Let me get a very small pocket one. If you look at a pry bar, this is the leverage example. You put something here, and then you can pry it by using this leverage. If you look, you pull here, you get a lot less stress that you can put down here than if you could go there. So, for example, if the Greyhound is twice the height of the Whippet, they can exert a lot more leverage. And why is this important? Because also the height, the center of gravity, is a lot higher in the Greyhound as compared to the Whippet, which is also a big benefit for the Whippets if they have to change direction, but also the force that are applied and also the chance of injuries. Of course, a longer leg will also result in a higher top speed and oftentimes bigger endurance if they have to cover big terrains all day. So that are the points that he made, but he made some other interesting points, and those are more related to lurchers. So he says, I suppose it really depends on what a person gets along with or what feels easy on the eye. And he himself says, I much prefer small Greyhound bitches to the bigger dogs, but ultimately I would prefer to live with a pure Whippet over a Greyhound, so I would automatically opt for the Whippet cross. So this video, as you remember, was about lurchers, and then he said he would favor the Whippet cross. And he says, I would prefer a staff over a pit, as they're just as game, but much more trainable. I am assuming you are somewhat on the continent. Okay, and then he states a last sentence, which I will get to later. So there's one point that should be made. If you look at bull lurchers, for example, a bull cross with either a Greyhound or Whippets, a Greyhound carries the bull strong musculature a lot better. They keep a lot more speed in. That doesn't mean that the bull Whippet is not a fast dog, they are, but a Greyhound can carry that heavy frame a lot better in that bigger frame that the Greyhound already has. So that's one benefit of the Greyhound. So I would rather see a bull Greyhound than a bull Whippet on average. But if you want to look at a Pitbull Whippet, which is also a smaller breed, so you don't breed them too big, then you get a lot of the benefits of a smaller dog. And also I think that he says a bull, that could be a Pitbull, for example, Staffordshire Bull Terrier, and he would prefer the Staffordshire Bull Terrier because he says they are just as game. I do not agree with them, because a game dog, an American Pitbull Terrier, has been bred for more generations and selected more harshly to be very game. But on the other side, and that's also the benefit of staff, that are often easier to live with, and for the quarry that you're chasing, oftentimes the staff brings all the strength and gameness that you need. Already the bull and terrier breeds are considered very game as compared to other breeds, so you just have to decide how much game do you need. So that's being said there. And then his last sentence will be, you might be aware of the Heide Terrier. It looks like a good alternative to bull cross, and I agree. A Heide Terrier is also made to cross big distances, especially after boar, so they are quite courageous, also quite speedy, have very good endurance, and they come in a variety of coats which can be beneficial over, for example, a bull. So a bull is more of a fighting dog, and a Heide Terrier is more of a hunting dog. Both are able to fight, but the hunting dog brings something else. For example, more hunting sense, better nose, and all those things that could be of interest. There's also a reason why I said why don't you opt for a Pitbull Terrier over a smaller running dog such as a Whippet instead of going with a Pitbull, for example. Well, this were my reaction to this very good and complete post by Rambler 2111, and I hope you agree with it, and if not, let me know, but I found it a very good reaction. Thank you, Rambler. Have a great day.